Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Joanne Gallopalt. I'm an attorney at Coast to Coast Legal Aid. I'm here with my colleague, Geraldine DiBianchi, another attorney who you may have seen out in the community. She drives our mobile justice van, and I happen to be the lead consumer law attorney here at Coast to Coast. And we're really excited to have authorities here to talk to us about all things condo, because this is a phone call that Geraldine and I and other attorneys in our unit receive on a nearly daily basis. People having questions about the purpose and the goal of the condo associations, people having a lot of questions about their maintenance payments, special assessments. So we wanted to put on a clinic to disseminate as much of that information as we possibly can for you, and to provide you with our Coast to Coast Legal Aid contact information at the end of the clinic in case you have additional questions. We're really fortunate to be joined by the president of the Broward County Bar Association, Michael Rajtar. He's also the founding partner of his own law firm, Rajtar and Associates. We have Chad Van Horn, the founding partner at Van Horn Law Group, a bankruptcy attorney who's done a lot of litigation in this area, so I think that'll be helpful. Phyllis Brown is here. She is the supervising housing counselor at the Broward County Housing Authority, and she's going to be sharing some information regarding financial assistance the county is able to provide for maybe condo-related matters, and also information regarding their housing counseling program. After all that, we actually just learned that we were approved for a 1-hour CLE for today's clinic. So we're going to be disseminating that information for the CLE in a little bit. Once we finish our conversation, we actually received a special video from the supervisor at the Office of the Condominium Ombudsman, which we'll be sharing at the end of our program today. So now that I've introduced everybody, what I'd kind of like to do to start off is talk a little bit about condos, the purpose of the Condominium Association, what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to maintain the community, and what happens when things go right in a condo. So to get us started, Michael, I was hoping I could kick it over to you and you could just start talking about the ins and outs of condos, how they work and what they do.
Sure. Thanks, Joanne. As Joanne said, my name is Michael Rajtar. She said it a couple different ways, but just pretend the J is a Y. Michael Rajtar, I'm president of the Broward County Bar Association. I was fortunate to be the chair of both Coast to Coast Legal Aid and Legal Aid a few years back. These programs are near and dear to my heart. And what I do on a daily basis is condo and homeowner association law. And what does that mean? So condo associations, homeowner associations in South Florida are everywhere. To try and not live in an association is almost impossible. It's a great way of living as long as everything's going right. And there's so many of them that you don't hear about because things are going right. The ones you hear about are on the news, or those are the exceptions. Those aren't the rule. Most associations work exactly like they're supposed to. It's a community where everything is going to be done in a certain way and everybody knows the rules and regulations coming into it. That's why you buy there. The upkeep of the property is done by the association, making sure everything looks the same and runs smooth. Bills get paid, the lights stay on, the landscaping looks beautiful. And that's the whole purpose of the association, is to make sure that all of that keeps working in the right direction. Recently, we've had a lot of things happen in South Florida that have been on the news that make it so there's been some changes in the legislature lately, and a lot of those changes have to do with what you're going to be paying in maintenance and reserves and things of that nature going forward, especially starting this year. And some of those have to do with what's called the structural integrity reserve study and milestones that you're going to have. So every 30 years, you're going to have these inspections to make sure the building's up to code and everything, the structure's good, the electric's good, the plumbing's good, everything in the building's good. But unfortunately, one of the side effects of that is that if it's not, and you haven't been keeping reserves, then there's going to be huge assessments that come with that. So one of the things we try to preach to our association clients is that even though you had the ability to waive reserves throughout the years, you no longer have that going forward if you're a 3-story building or bigger in South Florida. That try to have the reserves. If your association can afford it, you really want to stay on top of those things, even if you're not required to. And for the associations that are required to starting this year, you really want to meet with your attorney and then you're going to meet with your engineer to go over all these things to make sure you're doing everything the right way, because you want it going forward. You want to make it so it's easily maintained and it's not these giant sums that are going to become due every year, every 10 years when these studies are due. So it was every 30 years. And then after the first 30 years, it's every 10 that you're going to have to do these studies. And what happens when you do these studies is you find out that there's concrete restoration that needs to be done. There's plumbing or electrical issues that need to be upkept. And if you've kept your reserves up throughout time, then it's not that big of a deal. That's what those reserves are there for. They're there to make sure the roof is in good condition. And when it's not, you have the reserves already there to pay for these repairs that are going to be necessary. Same thing with the electric and the plumbing and the structure of the building. If you haven't been keeping up on the reserves, that's where you're hearing all the stories from your friends and neighbors and family members at this point that, oh my goodness, I have a $300,000 condo and I have a $50,000 special assessment this year. How do I do this? And it's something that's typically passed by just the board. It's not unit owners that are involved, because the 718, the condominium statute, requires that the board takes care of repairs and maintenance of the building. So your everyday repairs and maintenance and upkeep of the building, those are board decisions. So you don't have any involvement as an owner. You don't have any say so if they want to pass a giant special assessment for $12 million or $15 million. That's 3 to 5 people typically that are on your board that make these decisions for you. And when you get to these stages that these decisions are made and these assessments come due, you really want to stay informed. You want to go to the meetings. And I know everybody doesn't want to sit through the meetings every month that they have and listen to everything that's going on, but it's really beneficial to stay informed and to know what's going on with your building, whether everything's going smoothly or not. The best time to get involved is when it's going smoothly, so it maintains that smoothness going forward. A lot of people don't get involved until there's issues, and a lot of those issues are coming due at this point because of what I was talking about with the structural integrity reserve studies that need to be done this year and these special assessments that are going to be coming due. And now you're paying attention, and now it's affecting your pocketbook. So a lot of people are really getting involved now. And that's why I think a lot of the people are on this call today are to tell you different ways that you can pay attention to different help that you can get in the community and different things you can do to make sure that you're not putting the financial strain and not sure where to go or where to turn.
Michael, how are these assessments or these reserves paid by the owners? Are they paid lump sum? Do they spread them out in
So they can do, so that's another thing that the board's going to decide. So it's those 3 to 5 people that are on your board that are going to make these decisions for you. They can go take out a loan on behalf of the association, and they're going to put you into a loan as a homeowner, because as a homeowner, you think when you move into a condo association, here, I bought a condo, so I don't have to take care of a yard anymore. I don't have to worry about the roof. I don't have to worry about any of those things. I just have to worry about what's inside my door. And unfortunately, that's really not the case, because when you're a condominium owner, you own not only your unit, you own a percentage of the common elements. So the building itself, the roof, the landscaping, everything else around you, you own a percentage of and you're responsible for. So your maintenance every month pays your regular dues that keep the lights on, keep the landscaping company coming out, keeping the different things going on your day-to-day basis in your annual budget that you should have. The special assessments are the things that are big ones that come due, like the roof or painting or landscaping, or things that come up every now and then that have to do with the repair and maintenance of the building. And those things are going to get taxed on you just like a maintenance assessment would. And those are foreclosable interests as well. So if you don't pay those, you can put yourself in a really bad financial position. And so they can be spread out over time if the board sees fit to do so. And most boards try to do whatever they can to help their owners. Sometimes it's, even if they're trying to help, they can't, because sometimes it is an emergency. Sometimes the city or the county steps in and says, here, this needs to be done now. So you need the funds now that have to be paid now. So they have to do things in lump sum sometimes that some people aren't ready for. Some people don't have those financial reserves, and they are paycheck to paycheck, and they're not ready for some of these things because they don't think about them typically until it happens. But
Yeah.
it can be spread out over time. It can be a lump sum. It's all going to depend on your board.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot coming into our office regarding new assessments and reserves following the Surfside disaster. And I think you could address that too, and that's why we're seeing more homeowners in a more difficult position.
Yeah, since Surfside, they're required to do a reserve study to find out, one, what their reserves look like, and two, have somebody do the equation to figure out how much they should have in reserves at this point in time.
Mhm.
If those reserves are empty on day one when we start that study, then you're going to have to get sometimes 25 years worth of reserves this
Wow.
year and to replenish those immediately.
Mhm.
And that's part of the statute. That's part of what the legislature did to make sure that something like Surfside never happens again. Because a lot of what Surfside centered around was the fact that they needed to do a $10 million special assessment that they just kept putting off because they didn't want to tax the owners like that. They didn't want to make them have to pay all this money that they couldn't afford. But unfortunately, it was a position that they needed to pay that money. They needed to get these reserves done in order to make sure that everything, the structure was good, the roof was good, all these things were done properly. And a lot of associations do it because they're trying to appease their owners and make sure that their owners don't go under a financial strain. And here, we don't want to upset everybody in our building by having to give them an assessment that they can't afford. But the alternative is things aren't getting done properly. Things aren't being maintained properly. So every time your board comes and asks you to pay more money, it's not always a terrible thing. Sometimes it's really what's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Michael, I'm gonna jump in first to go back and apologize for mispronouncing your name. I'm sorry, you and I have never spoken, and I think I made my own interpretation of what your name must sound like. So I'm sorry.
You would not be the first person to mispronounce my last name.
I know, but I just want to offer my apology for that. And then also to touch on what Geraldine and you were discussing, is there like a required notice period that the association has to give? I know you said sometimes it's an emergency, the county or city is putting some kind of like a constraint on the association to get certain work done. Is there a certain amount of time the borrowers will always have to come up with special assessment funds, 30 days or more, less?
So typically what is required for a special assessment is 14 days notice.
Oh my goodness.
So they can say, here, we're going to have a notice, we're going to have a meeting in 2 weeks. Here's the agenda. It has to list what the special assessment's for. It has to list what the amount of the special assessment is and what it's going to be used for. And that's all it has to tell you. And so they can have that notice out, post it, send it out to the owners, and then 14 days later have that meeting and say, all right, not typical, but they can say tomorrow you need to come up with $50,000. It's not usually how it's going to occur, but it can occur that fast. So usually it's talked about. So if you actually, that's why I say get involved with your meetings now, especially if you have an older building. If you have a newer building, it's not something really that's going to come into play until you get to that 20, 25, 30 year mark. If you're over 30 years, attend your meetings because there's so many things that can go on at those meetings at this point. I know it's not the most entertaining thing to go to, but sometimes there's a lot of valuable information.
Matter of keeping your house or not sometimes.
No, and it's somebody that's spending your money. So
Yeah.
if you're paying maintenance every month into these coffers, and it's your money that's going into these coffers, and it's your money they're going to ask for a special assessment. So if it's me, I'm going to pay attention to how they're spending my money. And usually before there's a special assessment of a large nature, especially when it comes to the reserve studies and comes to the structural integrity of the building, these things are talked about for months, if not years, prior to the actual money coming due, because they have to go out and get studies. They have to pay to have an engineer come out. They have to pay to have somebody look at all these financials. So these are things that are usually talked about for months, if not years, prior to the actual occurrence of the special assessment, of them determining what they're going to need to specially assess for. So if you're paying attention and you're involved, then you're going to know about these in advance typically. It's also a big deal because some people, when they sell their property, these things have been talked about for years. And you sell your property not knowing that there's a giant special assessment coming due, and you really haven't paid that much attention, but maybe you should have. Somebody can come back as the buyer and come after you for not telling them that there's a multi-million-dollar special assessment that's coming due right after they purchase. And it happens on a regular basis where you have somebody, the assessment's not passed until after the sale occurs on a property. And you as the seller, you might still be on the hook, or at least they're going to think you're on the hook and sue you because you didn't tell them that this is going to happen. So you really want to pay attention to all these things that are going on because it can have some ramifications you never even thought about.
Mhm.
But Chad, I assume that's when they walk through your door?
Mhm. When things go wrong.
Yeah.
That that's right. So when things go wrong, that's when I usually get the phone call, and sometimes it's just, job loss. They can't pay the association dues. So sometimes it's not that they were hit with an assessment, although I'm seeing more and more of that. And I always encourage my clients to try to work with the association from the beginning, because the more that you fight with the association, the more fees you're going to drive up. And then those fees usually become a lien on your property. So that just goes into your assessment. I always tell my clients, if you want to sue the association, you better win, because if not, all of those fees are going to be a lien against your property. And you're going to cause the association dues to go up as well, because the association has to pay their attorneys to defend whatever that action is. So the good news is for people that are going through hard times and can't pay their association dues, there is something in bankruptcy called a Chapter 13 reorganization, which allows you to get caught up over a 3 to 5 year period on the back dues while remaining current moving forward. And as long as you file that Chapter 13 prior to the actual property selling, because yes, associations can foreclose on your condo unit if you don't pay. We can save the property. Unfortunately, I'm seeing many people come in with these special assessments because they can't get the financing or whatever other reason, and we're putting $10,000, $20,000, $25,000 through a Chapter 13 plan, which is beneficial for the condo owner, but it's still hurting the association because the association needs that money to do whatever renovations are needed. So you got to be really careful with associations. As Michael said, if they're run great, you never hear from them. That's how I'm in a townhome association. I never go to the meetings, so I'm not following Michael's recommendations, but they keep a great reserve. They send out a monthly newsletter about the finances, and they show what the useful life of every major project, roof, painting, whatever is coming up, and how much they have reserved for it. So you really should stay on top of it. As soon as there's any sort of issue, make sure that you're speaking to the association leadership or the management company, if there is a professional management company, and try to get ahead of it, because I see things spiral very, very quickly for people that just put their head in the sand and think it's all going to work out in the end.
Well, what are the issues specifically, Chad? Like, what are you seeing that would cause them to come to you?
Well, right now we're seeing association dues are going up significantly, and people just can't afford to pay them. Right now we have, as a country, we have a record level of credit card debt, record level of mortgage debt, record level vehicle debt, student loan debt. So we have a debt issue just in general in the country, and people have to make decisions on what debt they're paying. So I'm seeing many clients are unable to pay the association, but they still pay the mortgage. I actually would rather keep paying the association than the mortgage, because associations, generally speaking, move faster because they have to. And the mortgage company actually has the ability to make other deals happen that the association just can't. So if you have to choose, I always go through my client's budget, and as soon as they run out of money, basically you line up, okay, you got to pay the lights, you got to pay for food, and then when you run out of money, that's when it just stops. And the association is near the top in my opinion for that.
So you're talking about foreclosable liens for non-payment of special assessments, maintenance, reserves, those type of things. That's what you're seeing, Michael, too?
Yeah, so I represent both sides of the coin. So I represent
Mhm.
developers, I represent associations, and I represent unit owners against associations. And a lot of times, you like Chad said, they're just in a financial situation where they can't afford to make the payments. And but I always suggest, when that's the case, reach out as quickly as possible, because I use the term that Chad did too, that they always bury their head in the sand and it's just going to get better. and it never gets better. The longer you wait, the worse it gets. The fees and interest, the associations are able to charge 18% interest. They are able to get all their attorney's fees and costs. They're allowed to charge late fees. These things pile up, and you'll have people that, well, I'm not behind. I'm only behind a month. You're only behind a month for years, and all that interest and attorney's fees and late fees, those things have all added up because with the condo statute, all those things actually got paid first, and it's your maintenance that piled up that hasn't been paid. And now what do you do? So if you get in touch with the attorney, most law offices will try and work out something because they explain to their clients it's always better to get money coming in than it is to try and foreclose on somebody in these types of situations. It's a year to 18-month process to go from beginning to end on one of these foreclosures for a condo association. It's money that they're going to have to spend on these things. It's money that's not coming in. At least if you work out something where you have the money coming in and you have an end in sight with the unit owner, it's better than just trying to foreclose on a property. So you have the other thing that Chad didn't mention is one of the things that's happening in South Florida. And if anybody that owns any kind of property down here knows, insurance has skyrocketed. It has gone 300-400 with associations. It's gone 300-400% higher in a year for some of my associations. And you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. It's increased depending on the size of the association. And that's an expense nobody was ready for. So that's not to fix anything. That's not to put a roof on my building. That's not to fix the structure itself or anything that you're going to see. That's just your insurance. And they have to have it. They're required to have it. So you have a situation where they don't have a choice. They're just getting hit with giant assessments just to cover their insurance bills at this point.
Right. So Chad, what is the timeline with the Chapter 13? Client comes to you, they're already faced with either a foreclosure or they've gotten a notice. What does it look like?
So actually, before this meeting, I have a client who has a foreclosure sale for an association on Monday. So and they of course didn't respond to anything. They thought it was going to figure itself out. Well, it is figuring itself out. On Monday, their property would be sold. Luckily, a family member said, "You really should take this seriously. It looks like a serious issue."
Right.
So again, if you get to me, I prefer you get to me much earlier, but as long as you get to me before
claim of lien stage before.
Yeah, as soon as you start falling behind and you realize you're not going to be able to pay, then come see me or go see an attorney and let's figure out what the best way is. Because sometimes the best way out is a sale of the property, just not a foreclosure sale of the property. Because luckily, even the issues that condos have had, most people have equity in their property if they bought it 5 years ago or longer. So you would rather have an organized sale where you can market it properly than letting it go to a foreclosure sale where you're really not going to get the money out of it. But again, the good thing is with that Chapter 13, as long as I get it filed before the sale actually occurs. So I can file this Chapter 13 for the client Monday morning at 9 a.m. and it still cancel the sale. Again, we don't want to wait till the last minute, but it is a possibility. In the Chapter 13, you're going to have to start making payments 30 days after we file. So just to give you an example, if there was $12,000 owed in back dues, and the normal association monthly payment's $500, you would pay the $500 plus $200 per month. 200 times the 60 equals the 12,000. You pay the $700 a month to a trustee, and then the trustee pays the association every month for you, and that'll get you caught up over that 5-year period.
And it's interesting. Yeah, so many clients call me and they're in foreclosure and they did not understand that the association lien was a foreclosable lien. You know, with our clients, Geraldine and I work with seniors, we work with residents of Broward, and there's not always understanding of what's going to happen if you don't pay. They think paying the mortgage keeps them in the house. And if they fall behind on the association, they can work something out. But just like you said, Chad, sometimes it's the opposite. You know, there are workouts available for mortgage delinquency that are not available for association arrears, you know.
And I have to do a PSA. This isn't on point for necessarily this, but do not buy condo associations foreclosures unless you know exactly what you're doing, because I get a call a week that I bought this condo. It was the best deal ever. It's $20,000. It's a $200,000 condo. And now I'm being foreclosed on by the first mortgage.
Yep.
So if you don't know what you're doing, just, and I think everybody on the call has
Yep.
received a call like that. What's going on? So the condo association, generally speaking, has a second position behind the first mortgage. So if you're buying that position, you still can be foreclosed on. So I just had to make that announcement.
Thank
So-
you, we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Phyllis, where does the Broward County Housing Authority get involved in all of this to help homeowners and to help them from being displaced from their homes via foreclosure?
Well, only when they reach out to us. That's the only way we get involved. They have to contact us, or they be referred from other county agencies or from the county government themselves, because they the one who give us the funding. So they refer a lot, but mostly we won't get involved until they come to us. And like I said, they can come to us just by doing a search or going to a HUD website and seeing a HUD counseling agency in their area, or refer from, I get calls from other nonprofit organizations, other social services agencies. So it's just, referrals, and, we won't get involved until they reach out to us, because we just don't go out and advertise the program. This department is run by one person, that'd be me.
Hmm.
I have to do all the, the whole entire county, but, until they reach out to us, then, that's when we become involved. And when they do come in, we just do an assessment of what their needs are. Like Chad was saying earlier, I've had so many people that have bought condos because they got it from the homeowners, from the HOA people, thinking they got a deal, and they done been foreclosed on the first mortgage. I over the years, like I said, I've been doing this for 26 years. I done got so many crazy phone calls, but when he said that, that just kind of pointed out, just some of the many cases that I've received like that. So yeah.
So when they call you, what can you do to help them?
Well, it
Someone's-
just depends. I'm going to assess it and see what they're coming in for. I get a lot of calls for condo, like you said, that are been hit with a special assessment, especially lately.
Mhm.
Also, senior citizens that's on a fixed income that's been hit with those skyrocket insurance premiums. So when they come in, I just assess the situation as far as to see where they are. For most, for especially if they're coming in for HOA, we just want to go ahead and assist them and pay them. If they're in one of the non-entitlement cities, I'm going to, do their intake. I'm going to see where they are as far as income, making sure they can afford it, if we can bring it current, seeing what the amount is. Now, if it's more than $15,000, they're going to have to, come up with that portion. If it's 17,000, we can only pay up to 15. Now, some cases, and I'm in speaking with the county with that, they may allow me to go up a little bit more, especially if a senior citizen on a fixed income. I just haven't been hit with that scenario yet. But I know we did discuss that, and I may be able to go up a little bit more. But the minimum payment that they gave because of the funds is first come, first serve, of course, and what we have, and then I can pay up to the $15,000. And usually, if they come in and say, for instance, they just owe, say, $10,000, then I'm going to pay just the $10,000, and then because of the process, I may throw in an extra 2 months. Because of the process.
What are your qualifications? Like what?
Well, they have to be delinquent, or they have to be faced with that special assessment. That's something beyond their control. They cannot afford that special assessment they hit with. Then they can qualify for the funds. That's just like with their mortgage. If they come to me, they have to be behind. They can't foresee, oh, next month I'm not going to pay because I'm going to need a delinquent notice. Or with a special assessment, they're going to have to give me a bill to show what they was hit with. And then again, it has to make sense to, once we bring it current, they're in a position where they're going to be able to pay that. So if so, then, the county will distribute that payment to their HOA on their behalf.
So they have to be sustainable on their own moving
Yes.
forward.
It's
But
not
you'll
an
pay their
ongoing thing.
delinquency if they
Yeah, it won't be
qualify.
an ongoing thing, yeah. It won't be a ongoing thing, you know, last year we had that program, year before last, I think, you know, where the state had that program where they would pay, you know, going forward, they were paying 13, 18 months for people, HOAs, mortgage statements, they were paying that. This program only just bring you current based on the fact that you qualify, based on the fact you're gonna be able to maintain it going forward.
Phyllis, how long does it take to go from when they come to you to actually paying?
Well, it just depends, you know, like I can do my part in one day. Lately, what we've been running into, these associations, you know, I know you've been dealing with them. Oh, we don't want to give, you know, because the counter will want a W-9. They want to know how they want to get the check. Oh, can we come pick it up? You know, it depends on the HR. We've been having a lot of, on the backside of that, you know, we can do our part. So I would just say for my part, once they come in, it's done. It's just a matter of getting the county to finish up their part because they waiting on verification of employment. They waiting on verification on Social Security. They waiting for verification from their banks. They waiting on verification from the mortgage company, and those things been holding us up. You know, that's been getting it back because they want a wet copy. So they give instruction on how they want that back. The county don't want a copy. You know, so those are the things that's kind of holding us up, just waiting on getting things back from Social Security, from the banks, because the county sends that directly out to those lenders, to the bank, to the condo associations. You know, we send it out to them directly, and then they have to get it back, you know, and once the county gets it back, they have to set it up. Once they set it up, I'm just going through the process. Once they set it up, they got, and we have everything that's needed to, we got current reinstatement amount. Then I would do a check request with a synopsis of, you know, why I feel like we gonna help these people or whatever. I take it to the county. The county would then, if they have everything, they will do a mortgage. They would type that up. They would send it to me. I would have the client come in and sign it. Once they come in and sign it, the county would then make the mortgage payment.
See. So tell us income threshold. What are your levels there?
Well, like I said, for this year, we got the new ones in April of 2024. We can go up to, well, we really go up to 80% income limit. Sometime they will let me throw in and sprinkle in 120 up to 120% based on their family size.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
How many, I'm curious to know how many people you typically are able to help in a year. I don't know how many people maybe received assistance last year, if you know.
Well, you know, the funny thing about it, this is the first time I've had money since 2017.
Oh,
So we don't get money all the time, even though I ask, you know, like if they have some unused funds, I've been able to get for mortgage assistance. You know, I've been doing it since 1998. So they usually always get funds. Sometimes we done went through not getting funds for 2 or 3 years because the county decides to do minor home repairs or repair programs for people instead of putting it into financial assistance. But when we do get it, you know, like I said, I asked for this money probably 2 years ago. It took me, what, 6 or 7 months just to finally go through the process of it being signed off by our county. The county, you know, got to go before the board of county commissioners. Everybody got to vote on it. That process alone takes a while.
right.
And then, you know, during that time, you know, I know we're going to sign off on it, but you know, I'm you know, I'm already lining up people. I don't have like a waiting list. Like I said, it's first come, first serve. Whoever come in with all the information, whoever lender, HOA submit their documents in, you know, that person's going to move forward first. You know, we just don't, you know, sit there and just wait. Actually, I've only received $200,000. So we're going to see how many people I'm going to be able to help. I only got $200,000. When
the
it's
whole
over.
year.
So in short, sign up quick and be organized.
Right.
Be
And
organized, you know,
Yeah.
some people, look, these HOA be giving you the run for the money. Oh my God, they just a trip. No, we can't do that. You know, take it forever to give you. We only meet once a month. You know, just foolishness. That just
So Phyllis, are the attorneys for the HOAs able to speak to you directly, or do they have to keep going through?
well, they can, and I reach out to like I said, I can only do entitlement cities. So if a homeowner come to me and they not on that entitlement, on that list where I can help them, I
Right.
have called a couple of attorneys for them. People like, oh no, we're not working on no payment plan. So I done got calls like that. I'm like, really? You know what? I'm gonna let her go to court. And if I can say anything that we did call you and try to work out a payment plan, if I can help them in that way, I will. But yeah, I am able to talk to attorneys. I've been on Zoom calls with hearings. So I am allowed to do those type things. So I have been in a couple of, well, especially with foreclosure, I've sat in several hearings.
Yeah, I'm just thinking from a personal perspective for people, for associations I represent or people I represent, if you can take everybody else out of the equation and the attorney can speak with you directly, it might speed things up because I understand the issues that you might have with some associations and
Right. Well,
it,
yeah,
it takes forever to get anything done or a homeowner that keeps telling you that they're here, we're in this process. Well, where are you in this process? What's holding it up?
Mhm.
And
Right.
it's always Phyllis's fault. It's never the homeowner's fault.
Right. They
So,
take forever to give me a check. Well,
yeah.
but yeah,
Well, but
I can talk to attorneys, to try to work out, and I do that, now even with mortgages, I'll call the attorney, get reinstatement amount. I'll try to work out plans with them as well. Of course, they go back to the mortgage company, whatever it may be. So I'm able to do that as a HUD counselor. We can do all of those things, anything, in my position, I always go over and beyond, do things I don't even supposed to be doing when it comes to, going to court and things like that. Because, a lot of senior citizens don't know that step or they need a little extra hand holding. And that's what I do
Yeah.
for those people. Yeah.
I think you're a good triangle of referrals, the three of you. I think you could all assist each other with, if I can't, maybe you can, or you can.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna have Phyllis on speed dial after this.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Until her
don't
200 runs out, yeah.
I was gonna say, don't forget Phyllis is the Department of One though, so don't take up all the time, all
Right.
right?
Phyllis, can you
She has
tell us those?
$200,000, so
Yeah. Can you tell us those entitlement cities? Can you rattle those off?
Yeah, it's the cities that I can help. These are non-entitlement cities: Coconut Creek, Cooper City, Dania Beach, Hallandale Beach, Hillsborough, Lauderdale by the Sea, Lauderdale Lakes, Lazy Lake Village, Lighthouse Point, Margate North, Lauderdale, Oakland Park, Parkland, Pembroke Pines, Sea Ranches, Southwest Ranches, West Park, Weston, Wilton Manors, and unincorporated Broward County.
So those you cannot help.
Those that can help.
Oh, you
Oh,
can.
those are the ones you can. Okay.
next time ask her who
Entitlement
she can't
cities
help.
like Lauderhill, Sunrise, Plantation, those are entitlement cities. They get their own funds. Trust me, I've been begging them to get some money together, follow our program, and help their residents as well. So I done met with them. They can incorporate this county program that we've been following for years, distributing those funds. No one has stepped up to the plate, and most of my calls are coming from Tamarack. Well, Tamarack, I got on them, so they done started paying some people now. But Sunrise, Lauderdale Lake, Deerfield Beach, those people, we still waiting for them to come. Lauderhill, they always out of money or something, I don't know. So, I reached out to those as well. Had a meeting with the majority of those cities back in October, expressing, why the county gave me these funds, why I asked for these funds, how we do that program, and if they want to just copycat that to distribute those funds, because Tamarack, Sunrise, they all have a lot of condos too, and those people need assistance with special assessments.
So Phyllis, one more question. When can an owner come to you for help? Do they need to be in litigation? Do they just need to have a letter that says they're behind?
They just
When do
have
they
to be
come?
behind. They could come to
Okay.
me as soon as they get a letter saying they behind. They can come to me saying, we're gonna be here with a special assessment. I'm not gonna be able to afford it. I still will have to wait for something from the mortgage company, but at least I can do the intake.
Got it.
That
Okay.
is ready to move forward. So
Same with you, Chad. Better to come to you before their, claim of lien, before their foreclosure, before any of that happens. Just say, I'm going to fall behind. How do I do?
I just tell people all the time, instead of going listen to your neighbor or whatever, or just going to pay an attorney to do what we do for free. We have the funds, we have the counseling. If I don't have the funds, I tell you, I've gotten people modification you would not believe. I had a lady with 99 months behind with her mortgage payment, $482,000 in arrears.
Oh.
Back then, when I did that, she had been paying an attorney for 4 years, taking $400 and some out of her account every month. In 2 months, I was able to get her to make a home affordable where she didn't have to come to the table with no money, got her $4,600 mortgage payment down to $1,552. She didn't have no money saved up anyway, and a 2% fixed interest rate.
I need
She
you. I have a
needed
couple of clients. I need you.
five-bedroom. Look, why she needed a 5-bedroom, 3-car garage at 70 years old, you go figure.
Yeah, right?
But somebody promised that if you just pay it for a year, we'll refinance it. They long gone.
Yeah, yep.
And there's no way she could have possibly qualified for that mortgage if you would have seen her tax return, because she was one of those sit-in A's or whatever. There's no way. But somebody made it happen back then, probably when you didn't have to show no documentation. But I mean, that was one of my worst scenarios with her being that much behind, and was able to get her a modification, and she had been paying an attorney to do, I guess, to keep it out of foreclosure or whatever. And we was able to work with Wells Fargo, wherever I was. And in 2 months, I was able to make that happen for her. So, whenever they come to us, they come from referrals. I don't help their neighbors before, whatever. When they get to me, then, I'm able to do whatever we do here.
Do you assist also with sorry, Geraldine, I keep thinking of clients that I have
Oh,
that
good.
might benefit.
Yeah,
So my
yeah.
next question is, does your office or you assist with tax delinquencies also?
We don't do
That
tax.
could displace, okay.
Yeah.
So it's
We don't do
condo
property
maintenance
tax.
fees, special assessments,
Mhm.
mortgage arrears,
Yeah. Now,
anything else?
Miramar, they will pay property taxes. I was in a meeting with them on Wednesday. They pay property taxes with their foreclosure prevention money, but the county will not. Our funds come from the county, so they will not pay property taxes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, before we close and give you a big thank you, I'm going to give you all about 30 seconds to just tell our audience something that you really think is important that we may or may not have touched on, and just give it a quick wrap up after that and head to our video. Why don't you go first, Chad?
Don't buy condos. No, I'm just kidding.
Too late. Too late for many people.
Too late.
No.
Too late, Chad.
For certain people, condos are great. Just know what you're going into, and the people on this call were great. So when you're going into it, look at the finances of the association, because as Michael said, you think you're getting something that's going to be easy and you don't have to worry about it, but you really do have to worry about all the common areas, because you are paying for that. You're just paying as a group. So just go in, eyes wide open, and if there are issues, jump on them immediately, because the issues only get bigger the longer you let them go.
Perfect. Phyllis.
Well, I would just say, if they having trouble, just kind of reach out to our agency. Like I said, our services are free before you start paying someone to do what we can possibly negotiate or assist you with. The county has other social services agencies that I network with. If they're having problems getting in contact with either one of those type of agencies, they can reach out to me, because I'll be able to have a direct line to them and try to see where, if I don't have funds, we can work along with them. But I do work with mostly all the social service agencies in our area, even up in Palm Beach County, Miami-Dade, we have connections of people. So, I would just say, when you find yourself with a situation as far as your mortgage or your HOA, please contact the HUD counselor.
Thank you. And Michael.
Well, as everybody on this call can see, there's a lot of resources out there. Don't wait. There's a lot of time between when you fall behind and when you're going to actually be in foreclosure. Don't wait. As soon as you get that first letter saying that you're behind, that one can't have attorney's fees on it even. That's when you want to start. That's when you want to contact an attorney. That's when you want to contact the association attorney or the management company. Or if you're in a position where you can't pay, then contact Chad or legal aid or Coast to Coast or Housing Authority. Contact somebody. Don't sit and wait, because the longer you wait, the worse the problem gets. The more that fees and costs and interest get tacked onto these things, and it makes it so that the hole keeps getting deeper and deeper. So as soon as you get behind, that's when you want to reach out for help. That's the easiest time to get something done. Excellent advice. Thank you all. It was an exceptional conversation. We really appreciate your expertise.
And thank you all for the services that you provide to our residents. I think sometimes we're the only thing standing between them and being unhoused. So, we're all very appreciative for the work that you do.
You really do. You keep people in their homes. So we really, we're proud to work with you as community partners. So thank you so much for being here today, Michael Rajtar, Chad Van Horn, Phyllis Brown. And we look forward to working with you again. And we now have a special video from the Office of the Condominium Ombudsman.
Good morning, and thank you for having us at your virtual presentation. My name is Anil Maharaj with the Office of the Condominium Ombudsman. I'm the supervisor in this office. Presently, this office, we do not have an ombudsman appointed by the governor, but hopefully we shall have one pretty soon. So, why and what is the purpose of the Condominium Ombudsman's office? First of all, you hear me stressing condominiums, okay? This office gets a lot of calls for homeowners association, timeshares, mobile homes, co-ops. We do not have the knowledge to entertain those calls. We deal continuously with condominiums only. Secondly, the Office of the Condominium Ombudsman is an administrative agency and not a legal agency. While we do provide legal information, our representatives are prohibited from providing legal advice, including interpretation of the laws and/or governing documents, providing a professional or formal opinion regarding the substance or procedure of the law in relations to a particular factual situation, and/or analyzing a set of facts and advising a person to take a specific course of action based on the applicable law. Only a licensed attorney may give legal advice. Now, why did I say that? We do get a lot of legal questions. Okay? We cannot give legal advice. We are not allowed to give legal advice, and we are not allowed to give an opinion based on a factual thing. What we do is provide you the Florida Bar Association number and website that you can contact them for free legal advice. The location of this office is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We are at 1400 West Commercial Boulevard. We are in Suite 185J, and that's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33309. Our telephone number here is 954-202-3234. We do have a Spanish line, which is 954-202-3235. Our email address would simply be ombudsman@myfloridalicense.com. That's OMBUDSMAN@myfloridalicense.com. You can send us an email, you can call us, but please be aware that your email or calls will be answered in the order it was received. Here's another thing that a lot of constituents are not aware of. Although this office is in the Fort Lauderdale area, the Broward County area, we do take calls from the entire state of Florida. That's from Key West all the way to the Panhandle, Jacksonville, etc. So with approximately 24,000 condominiums registered in the state of Florida, with approximately 1,500 units, we do serve every single condominium unit in the state of Florida. So we are quite busy. So please, if you call and you get a recording, please leave your name, your association's name, your association's address, your callback number, and a brief message for the nature of your call, and we will return your call. It may not be the same day, it may be 1 day or maybe 2 days later, but we are required to return your calls. Now, what else does this office do? Well, this office was set up for education purposes. So you call us and we cannot help you. Of course, we do not have jurisdiction over your governing documents. We don't have the authority to force your board of directors to follow your governing documents. We may or can make a phone call on your behalf if you have a dispute between yourself and your board of directors. It's not guaranteed that anything will be resolved, but we can do that on your behalf. The other thing this office does is appoint election monitors for your annual elections. So it is a petition that you have to fill out, and then we verify the unit owners who signed this petition, and we appoint an election monitor. Now, the election monitor does not work for the state of Florida or the Ombudsman's office. They are independent individuals who does election monitoring on their own and also for this office. There is a fee involved. The fee is based on the amount of units your association has. And the fee is paid by the association to the election monitor directly. The state of Florida does not earn a penny from that monitoring process. So, what is our website? It is www.myfloridalicense, all one word spelled out, .com. If you type that in your search engine, you will be taken to the home page of the Department of Business and Professional Regulations. And I'm doing that right now as we speak so I can make sure you get the correct information. On that home page of the Department of Business and Professional Regulations, at the top, you will see some options to click on. The option I'd like you to click on is called Licensing and Regulations. It's in the gray area, gray writing. If you click on Licensing and Regulations, you're going to go to a page that shows you the amount of divisions under the Department of Business and Professional Regulations. Why am I doing this and showing you this? Because I need you to understand there are other divisions that you can and may get assistance other than the Ombudsman's office. Here you will see on that page 32 divisions under the Department of Business and Professional Regulations. So just think of the DBPR as a big oak tree, and these divisions as branches of this oak tree. Now, you look for condominiums, timeshares, and mobile home. Why? The Ombudsman office is under the division of condominium, timeshares, and mobile home. You will go to the home page of the condominium, timeshares, and mobile home. And to the right, you have the fourth option that says Condominium Ombudsman. If you click on Condominium Ombudsman, that will take you to the home page of the Condominium Ombudsman's website. Here at the home page, you will see the mission statement of the Condominium Ombudsman. You will see the statute 718.5012. And then you will scroll down the page, and the third option in green, the green box, the plus sign next to forms, if you click on the plus sign, it drops down and you will see the option to download the petition for appointment of an election monitor. All right. The second option, the English version and Spanish version, is a compliance, a complaint form. We do not do complaints, so that is for the Bureau of Compliance and not for the Office of the Condominium Ombudsman. Okay. You fill it out. You can either, we have an email address, election monitor petition at myfloridalicense.com. You can send it to that email address. You can hand deliver it to 1400 West Commercial Boulevard, or you can mail it to this office. Does not need to go to Tallahassee. It comes to this office at 1400 West Commercial Boulevard. Your petition is required to have a copy of the first notice of an election, of your elections. It is required 15% of unit owners to sign the petition, or 6, whichever is greater. When we receive that, we verify the unit owners who signed this petition. How? We do property appraisers website, and we do a printout of unit owners. And that's how we verify that we have enough signatures to approve this petition. If it is approved, you will get a notice, a letter of approval and the assignment of an election monitor. That notice is sent, or letter is sent, to the agent on file of the association, which is normally an attorney. If there's a management company that represents the association, that management company gets a letter, and the petitioner gets a copy of that appointment letter. The monitor will contact the association for certain documents ahead of the date of the elections. The monitor gets there on the date of the elections and conducts the elections, simply meaning they gather all the envelopes, the voting envelopes, outer envelopes, they verify the outer envelopes, they open them, they take out the ballots, they count the ballots, and they announce the elections, the results of the elections. All election materials will be left with the association representative. Now, we do this quite often. We do this a lot. This year, I believe we have done 155 monitoring of elections, mostly in Miami-Dade and Broward County, but we do cover the entire state of Florida. So if you are someone who would like the services of the Ombudsman's office, please contact us. That number again is 954-202-3234, or you may email us at ombudsman@myfloridalicense.com, and we'll be more than likely to assist you. Well, I hope I've given you enough information today to call us. If you have any questions, please do call us. We will respond. And I want to thank you and thank the Coast to Coast Legal Aid of South Florida for this opportunity to present what the Ombudsman's office can do for constituents in the state of Florida. I thank you very much. Have yourself a wonderful day and enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.
So again, I just want to thank everybody who participated today. This was really invaluable information. We hope it reached all the owners that are residing in associations that need this information. And if you need anything, if you have any questions later on, feel free to contact Coast to Coast Legal Aid, 954-736-2400. And Jeff, I'm going to send it over to you for a minute because I think you have the CLE information ready also. There it is. So thank you again to Michael Rajtar, Chad Van Horn, Phyllis. We really appreciated having you here. And I hope everyone has a fantastic afternoon and weekend.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here.